Good morning. Welcome to the live stream. Today is Sunday, October 5th. Welcome. My name is Angela, and I'm trying to move a full cup of coffee off to the side without spilling it. So here we are. My name is Angela. I am a front-end developer and software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And on this channel, we practice front-end development, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And I'm running a little behind this morning. I know that's shocking. So let me finish setting up the chat. I think that will do it. There we go. Monique Robinson is here. Hello, Monique. Welcome. Monique is one of the mods. We love her. She is amazing. She keeps the chat fast, fun, and friendly. I say that because that was the motto at Target. So Target, Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minneapolis is the home of Target. If you didn't know that, now you do know that. Everybody in Minnesota has worked at Target at some point in their life. It's like when I lived in San Diego and everybody had worked at SeaWorld at some point of their life. But anyways, whether you worked for Target corporate or Target stores, the motto internally was fast, fun, and friendly. I don't know why I always feel like I have to say that when it comes to the mods, but that's exactly what they do. They keep the chat fast, fun, and friendly, and we love them for it. So, Monique, that's my way of saying welcome and thank you. Do me a favor, if you haven't yet, please go ahead and like the video. It helps the algorithm and it helps us, helps me push this out, front-end development content out to more people who might enjoy this type of thing. This channel has grown a lot in the last couple of months. In fact, I think I do want to show this because I came across this. Let me find it. Where are you? Because I kind of got a kick out of it. Hold please. Where are you? Right here. So this was something that, let me switch to a different screen. This is something that I came across in my albums from November 6th, so about 11 months ago. And I know I took a screenshot of this because I had 200 subscribers and I thought that was really cool. So I know that like YouTube is all about go viral and, you know, get monetized overnight and get those watch hours and do all of that really fast. And it's all about viral. And yeah, I guess that would be cool. I mean, I guess it would be cool to wake up and have, you know, 5,000 subscribers, but that's not the kind of content that I make. I'm hard pressed to think of what I would do with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that would cause me to go viral. And even if I did do something and I magically got thousands of subscribers overnight, would those people continue to come back and watch this content? Probably not. So I'm fine doing it this way. I'm fine showing up every weekend, doing builds, proving that I can write the code, talking to people, hanging out in the chat. I'm fine doing that as a way to grow an audience because there is a stat floating around out there right now that 90% of all YouTube channels never get 1,000 subscribers. I mean, think about what that means. It means that most people are not going viral. Most people are doing the work, earning the subs, showing up week after week, month after month, giving their audience the kind of content that they want to see. So that's what I'm doing here. Oh, my camera's kind of crooked. Hang on here. Let me see. How about that? Yeah. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. Okay. There we are. We're centered. Anyways, I got a kick out of that photo, that screenshot, and I thought you guys might too. So there's that. RRC Gaming is here. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us again today. Monique Robinson is here, also one of the mods, formerly Go Elmo Go. Yes, greetings to all. So yesterday, we had a really fun day yesterday. It was not our biggest day in terms of like views, but we had excellent engagement in the chat yesterday. It was really fun. Lots of good conversation about front end development. And we also managed to build out our header, which I was pretty excited about yesterday. So here's what we did. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Wrong thing. So here's what we did. So on scroll and on hover, we've got opacity, or rather transparency to opacity. And then on scroll, we go from transparency to opacity, but we also did a linear transition to move that little top banner up. So I was pretty excited about getting that done yesterday. What I would like to do today is finish making our navigation responsive and accessible. So just as a reminder, here's the Nitpicks website. So we're cloning the Nitpicks website, but I've said from the beginning that I reserve the right to make changes and to make modifications as I see fit. I did also say that I wasn't going to look at the Nitpicks source code because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't like copying their code. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't like copying their assets, copying their banners, things like that. Oh, hang on one moment here. And Emilio is here. I love it when top banners get hidden. It's my new favorite thing as well. And also, Emilio is one of our mods. He's been here for a long time. And what? Emilio has joined the membership. You guys you're too nice to me. Emilio, thank you. Yeah, so we did talk about this yesterday. And here's the thing, I'm not a good salesperson. It feels very smarmy to me. I don't want my channel to be a funnel for courses and things like that. However, this channel is what I would call partially monetized. We are not fully monetized yet. We need 4,000 watch hours, watch time, public watch time hours before we start earning AdSense. But I am partially monetized, meaning that once I have 3,000 watch time hours, which I do, I was eligible to create memberships and turn on super chats. And so I just sort of silently behind the scenes went ahead and did that. If you're watching live streams, you know the drill. I'm not going to sell it. If that's something you're interested in, I would love to have you. And if you just want to come and hang out on the weekends for free in the chat, watch front end development, talk about front end development, I'm always here for that, and it won't cost you a gosh darn thing. Now, with that being said, I do have a membership for $4.99. I just called it developer. I'm not gonna like make this multi-tiered membership thing. What I am going to do is do monthly members only live streams and code reviews. So if you want to sign up for a membership and you're like, well, what do I even get for that? That's what we're going to do. So Emilio, you are going to be the first, you are going to be part of the first members only live stream for October. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And Emilio says, I believe in your mission to help people while also learning new things yourself while practicing your skills you already know. That's what it's all about. It's not about me hopping on YouTube every weekend and telling people that I know I am the end all be all and I know everything. I absolutely do not. I have been corrected many a time in the chat. And I've gone back and watched some of those videos and I was like, wow, Angela, you're awfully defensive. Just because somebody pointed out something that you didn't already know doesn't mean that you can't be a little more gracious. So I try to be as gracious as possible, and I am genuinely appreciative when people get into the chat and share their ideas with me. So, oh, it's okay, Emilio. Grammar and punctuation, there's no judgment here. There's none whatsoever. Yeah. So, yeah, I try to be low key about stuff. I try to be low key because I just here's the thing about being a developer. Developers are among some of the most highly paid people literally in the world. It is so incredibly technical. We add a lot of value to organizations, and there is nothing wrong with wanting to be paid for doing good work and adding value to an organization. And I don't think there's anything wrong with starting a YouTube channel and wanting to earn AdSense and grow an audience. There is nothing wrong with that. But I also just don't like to do the hard sell. So it just makes me uncomfortable. If you're already watching live streams, you know the drill. And if you want to join, you'll join. And if not, you can come hang out for free. So there's that. Okay, Angela, you're rambling. So, Emilio, thank you. I appreciate you. And yesterday, Malik also gave me a $3 super chat, which I thought was so adorable. And we were DMing after the stream, and he was like, yeah, I just wanted to test it out and see what it looked like. And I thought that was so sweet and adorable and generous. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. I never in a million years dreamed that I would get this kind of support. So it's really cool. Thanks. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. I appreciate you all. Okay. Back to the build. So here's what I want to talk about with this Nitpicks website. I said that I wasn't going to look in the dev tools. And I also said that I reserved the right to make changes as I was cloning this site, because Nitpicks does do some things that I am not going to do. And I think number one is that you can't see this navigation until you come up here and hover. And on some of these slides, it's fine, although I question if black on green has enough contrast to be accessible. But I think they're probably rationalizing that decision with the mouse hover up here. I don't agree with that. I think there has to be some opacity, but I did make it so when you hover, we have full opacity. Here's the other thing though. Let's look at them in mobile. I have some concerns about their accessibility, and I also want to say this. If I go on a stream and I talk about the accessibility of a website and how I think there are problems or I think something should be different, that is not to diminish the hard work of the humans who built this site. That is not what I'm here to do. It's just to have a productive conversation about how I think the accessibility could be improved. So what I want to talk about today, that's what this conversation is about. I love Nitpicks. They're a great organization, and we are not diminishing the hard work of the human beings who built this website. So with that being said, let's take a look at what's going on here with their header and their navigation. So we've got the logo on the left, the nav in the center, and we've got some icons over here on the right. Then when we go to mobile, the first thing I notice is that on mobile, the hover no longer works. And I do think that that's a problem. Now, if I close the dev tools, let's see here, close. If I close the dev tools and I zoom in, so we're up to 200%, 250, 300, 400. In accessibility, zooming up to 400%, you should, on desktop, will generally pop it into mobile, but your desktop support accessibility still needs to support everything for desktop. So just because we have a mobile view now doesn't mean that you can't still be accessible. And I get it, on mobile we don't hover, we tap, but you do still need to support these styles on desktop. So the first thing that I see here is that there is no opacity. We don't have that full opacity to see what's going on here on the desktop. So that's a problem. I think that's a problem. There's another thing here that I noticed. So when we are in mobile, so here's our header. Well, first of all, where is the header element? There is no header element. Why? Why is there no header element? That's not semantic. We don't even have, okay, if you have a div for your main element, that's fine. I only started using the main element myself a couple of years ago. And we do have a footer element. But why are we using a div when we should be using the header element? Now we are using the nav element, and then everything appears to be inside the nav element. I think that's probably fine. Let's see, where was it? So here's the button, and of course you can't see it, but it's over there on the left. So this is the mobile button. So here's the button with the default ARIA labels of ARIA expanded false. Okay, I do the same thing, and ARIA hidden true. Why is the button ARIA hidden true? That I don't understand. But when we open the menu, ARIA expanded false and ARIA hidden true don't change. So I feel like that's an oversight. I don't know why they would intentionally do that. So that must be some sort of an oversight. And where's our actual drawer here? So here's the actual drawer. The other thing that I thought was concerning is, I'm going to refresh, open the menu. So if we're going to keyboard navigate through, if we just opened the menu, the focus should be in the keyboard. But if I start to tab, the focus is not in the keyboard yet. We're going through the logo, the search. So my focus is, I don't know if you can see it there. There's the cart, there's the search in the background. If I hit return to open the search, nothing happens. Why isn't that search opening? If I tab over to the cart and I hit return, nothing happens. So I'm not sure. So now the drawer is open. Let me see here. I think I can move this over a little bit. So now the drawer is open, but I can't. And then also once the drawer is closed, now where's the focus? Oh, it went down to the slider. Okay, can I go back up? So I just opened the drawer. Now I'm tabbing. So all the tabbing is in the background. So I think that they have some problems here with their accessibility. I don't think that there's a logical order. Part of the problem is that this button, so here's our nav, here's our drawer, and then our button is like it's inside of a sibling element In my opinion, this button should immediately precede the drawer. So when you trigger it and you open it, the focus continues through the drawer. I don't think there's anything wrong with tabbing while a drawer is open as long as you're able to close the drawer. So if I hit escape, so we can hit escape to close the drawer. But do you see what I'm getting at here with the keyboard navigation, the logical place where things get focus? They do have some problems here with their accessibility. I don't think it would be impossible for a screen reader to navigate this or for a keyboard user to navigate this site, but it's not like great. So they need a little bit of help. And again, this is not to diminish their hard work. This is an awesome website. I think that they just overlook some accessibility steps. So my markup is going to look a little bit different and it's going to function a little bit different. And the reason that I even decided to look at this is yesterday after the stream, I was like, well, how does their mobile site look? And I saw that the button, well, really what I saw is the logo goes from left and then navigation on desktop to navigation logo on mobile. And I immediately thought to myself, oh, that button is not going to come before the actual drawer. And sure enough, I was right. So I don't mean to sound too self-righteous, but I did sort of pat myself on the back for making that observation. So I am not going to pop my logo into the middle. I'm going to keep my logo on the far left, and we're going to add a nav item over here to the right. So we're going to go logo on the left, nav item on the right, and the nav item is going to be next to the social media items. So I hope that wasn't too much. I hope that was helpful because I thought it was an interesting observation. And I do want to provide some context for why I'm making changes to something that I'm cloning. And I also, if you're out there and you're thinking like, oh, this is a good idea, I want to clone a website as practice, you don't have to just do it the way they're doing it. You don't have to just do it the way they're doing it. I want you to use your eyeballs and your powers of observation and logic, because websites are built by humans. Humans make mistakes. Humans overlook things. It's totally normal. It's totally natural. For all I know, they have an accessibility backlog. They are short-staffed. They can't find good developers who understand accessibility, and they just simply haven't prioritized it yet. I don't know, but this is just what I'm observing. So Monique has a good point here. I do think about doing this sometimes. I'm putting myself in the shoes of a developer who worked for a large organization, the University of St. Thomas, and how I would feel if I got an email from a random developer pointing out all of my mistakes. So, but you're right, Monique. It's not a bad idea to point that out to them, because I know that people take accessibility seriously and they do want their work to be accessible. So Malik is saying, what day are the monthly member streams going to be? That's such a good question. I hadn't gotten that far. The reason I hadn't gotten that far was because I didn't officially have any members until about 20 minutes ago. So you guys tell me, when would you like them to be? Let's look at the calendar quick. Let's look at the calendar. So today is October 5th. I would probably do it during the week. I could do it anytime during the day. It would probably be good to do it in the first part of the day, like around lunchtime or maybe mid-morning, just to make sure that we can be available for people overseas. But I also want to make sure that people with like jobs in the US can also watch. So I would love your feedback. You guys tell me, when do you think a good time to do it would be? I'm kind of leaning towards maybe we could do a like third Thursday of the month. That way we're not tied to a specific day. That's just what I'm thinking. So if we did it, we could do it like the 16th, or we could do like the last Thursday of the month. I don't know. I have to think about it. Totally fair. Emilio, you let me know. Since Emilio is the first member, I will just defer to his schedule. Whatever he picks is fine with me. Yeah, let me know, Emilio, what works for you, because I'm pretty sure that you have a full-time job. So you let me know what works. We could do mornings, afternoons. I would also be happy to do like a Saturday or Sunday evening, since the streams for me wrap up around lunchtime. I would be happy doing the weekends again later in the evening. Emilio says, I have no preference in life. Honestly, shoot a time and I will be there. Okay, give me a couple of days to think about it. Give me a couple of days to think about it and I will post something. Full-time everything, haha, but that never stops me. And guess what? It never stopped me either. I always found a way when I had a full-time job. So fair enough. Give me a couple of days to think about it and I will post something this week. Yeah. Honestly, had not thought about it for a moment, because I was just like, well, I don't actually have any members. So is this a problem that I have to solve right now? I don't think so. So, okay. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about accessibility. I thought that was interesting. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. So let's go ahead and get the rest of our stuff styled here. So we are going to write a little more JavaScript today. And right now, let's go here. And so right now, this is how we have it. So here's our banner, here's our nav container inside the header. Here's our primary logo, which is nice and flexible. A little too flexible, but that's okay. We're just going to, well, we need to hide this. So let's actually decide what our breakpoint is for when we want to hide this. And let's go back to 100% right there. So I'm going to say 1024. We're going to want to hide that at 1024, which is pretty standard. Pretty standard. So I'm going to do a media query of 1024 pixels, and we are going to hide this right here, our nav element. So here's our navigation section. And it's the whole container. So we're going to say navigation, and we're going to say visibility hidden, opacity 0, and we're also going to do position fixed, top 0. I'm going to do it on the left. So I'm going to say negative 300 pixels, and then we also need to set a width of 300 pixels, but I'm also going to set a max width of 100%, so it's nice and flexible if for some reason it was on a screen size smaller than 300 pixels, which we can test in the browser. And then I'm going to do height 100 dVH, which stands for dynamic viewport height. And then we also want to set a transform translate on the x-axis. I usually do 0, and then I move it to the right with like plus 100%. That's what I've taken to doing lately. So there we go. Just like that. So now our container, why are you down? Why are you all the way down there? Probably because we have position relative on the body. Oh, no, that shouldn't matter. So if I move this, oh, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so that's where it is. We can't see it right now. So let's add some more styles. So let's add a background color of white. And we're also going to add, because our JavaScript is going to be a click event, that when you click that button to open the navigation, we are adding a class of menu active. So for styling, I'm just going to add that class to the body. And then we're going to say menu active navigation. Whoops. Now we say visibility visible, and we need visibility hidden to hide it from screen readers. That is what keeps the screen reader from reading the menu when it's collapsed. And then we'll say opacity 1, and then we're going to say transform translate 100%, which is 100% is the width, 300 pixels. And we can also transition that. Transition, translate, or transform 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. So there it is, and obviously our navigation is kind of goofy, but I can come up here in the body class and just delete that. And then I'll Control Z, and there's our transition. And I'll Command Shift or Control Shift Z to undo and redo. And that's how I test it, just like that. And the transition works in one direction. It works when you open it. It really doesn't work when you close it. That is not a problem that I have solved yet. And I've definitely spent some time on it. So I'll say this. A normal user experience on navigation is that they open the menu, they click a link, and the page loads a new page. So I don't think it's a normal user experience to even expect an animation when you're opening and closing. And I think ideally it would be great if I could figure out how to get it to animate in both directions. I just haven't figured it out yet. But it is a normal user experience to open the menu, click a link, go to a new page. So you don't generally see menus closing anyways. I think the people who tend to see menus closing, excuse me, are the developers who built the menus. So I just don't want you to get too hung up on that. Think about the bigger picture. And also focus on making sure that you really are being truly accessible. So the priority, in my opinion, is not the animation, it's the accessibility and the user experience. Animations are nice user enhancements, but they are not a requirement. So the requirement is accessibility and a good overall user experience. So there's that. Okay, so now let's actually style this menu. Let's actually style this menu. So here are our styles for the UL. And the UL is right here, main nav. So we're just going to style this. Right now it's display flex. I'm literally just going to change like the flex direction. So I'm going to put it right here. So I'm going to say flex direction column. And let's do, oh, we need to make sure that our buttons are styled also. So let's get our buttons in there. So we temporarily hid our buttons. We've got open button, close button, menu button, menu button. Let me think about this. How do I usually deal with these buttons? I think they can be display none for desktop. I think that's fine. And then menu button, I would just say display block. There we go. So let's deal with our button just for mobile, and then we will, the close button rather, and then we'll deal with the open button after we're done with the mobile view. So cursor pointer. I'm going to say margin left auto and push it over here. So I'm going to say margin left auto. Beautiful. There's not that much to do to this button. They practically style themselves. Look at that. Nice big juicy tap target. Let's just give it a background color of, well, we'll just say transparent. We'll say menu button. Oh, look, it did the same thing here. I didn't even try to do that. Love that. And then we'll say menu button. We probably want to do the fill. I'll put in black and a stroke. I don't think that either of these actually have fill. I think they just have stroke. And we'll do menu. Oops. We'll do menu, button focus. Hover. Active. We're going to change the background color to, I'm going to change it to navy. And then we're going to change the color of the SVG. So when we focus, hover, or are active on the button, we're going to trigger the SVG. And we're going to do a stroke of white. Just like that. We do need to size this a little bit. Maybe we want to make it, we might want to make it, we could keep this one, that color, but we might want to do this one to stay in line with our social. Yeah. So here's where the separate class names come in handy. Well, first of all, let's get this. So the size of this is 60 by 50. So let's just change the width of this. Well, I think we could just take the padding off. And that will make it square. Padding 0. Yep. And then let's give that a little extra margin on the other sides. So on the top, I want 0.5 rems. Top, right, bottom, left. On the right, I want 0.5 rems. And on the bottom, I want 0.5 rems. Beautiful. Just like that. Now we have a perfect 48 by 48 button. Just like that. And then I am going to give it some rounded corners. I know. Oh, and no one is here. Guten Abend. I don't know what that means. That sounds, is it German? Is that German? Welcome, no one. We're happy to have you. Welcome to the live stream. I'm going to give this a little bit of border radius. 5 pixels. Sometimes it's okay. I don't mind it. I don't mind it all the time. There we go. Looks good. And then let's give a, let's do a transition of the background color. 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. And we need to do the same thing on the SVG. Stroke, 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. Oh, does that what that means? Guten Abend means good evening. So there we go. We have a nice transition. So I think the only thing I'm going to do different here for the open button is make sure that the open button has a different background color. Yeah, so we can repeat this. And we'll say open. Oh, whoops. I have to actually change the color. There we go. And I think that I'm going to make the open button SVG a little bit smaller because these SVGs, I think we made these 1.5 rems. Yeah, so we're going to do a couple extra little styles just for that open button, or for the open button SVG rather. Oops. I'm going to take this, just scoot it right down here. And Emilio is heading out to a meeting. Have a great stream. Thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you for joining. I just think that's so sweet. Thank you so much for doing that. And I'm going to make memberships worth it for everybody. I really want to make sure that I'm adding value and that you feel like you're getting something for that, because that is what we are here to do, is learn and share ideas. So, okay. So for this open button, we need to put it in the right. I don't think it matters. So for the open button SVG, I'm going to change the width to 1.5 rems and the height to 1.5 rems. And then I think we do need to add some padding. to the button. Menu, menu, open, open. So we'll do that right here. And I think we just need 0.75 rems of padding. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's see here. I think it's too small. I think it's just a little too small. So let's bump this up a little bit. So if we increase this to 1.75, I think we would take this down to 0.5. Yeah, look at that. Do those look evenly spaced out? I think so. Yeah, because I know that I have 0.5 rems of gap in between those icons, and I added 0.5 rems of margin. So I know that that's evenly spaced out, but it does look even. So we'll make sure, and we can tighten this up if we need to. I don't want to make the tap target smaller because in order to be, oh, look at that, it's not even 48 by 48. Do I need more padding in there? The SVG is 28 by 28, 44 by 44. We're off by 4 pixels. How the heck did that happen? Okay, we can increase this padding. My math isn't mathing. I'm not sure why, but that's okay. So now it's 48.8 by 48.8. We can't decrease the tap target. That's important for accessibility, but this does look even to me. And we're just about done here styling this. Okay, and I'm going to keep that nice and big up there so it's easy to close that menu. Okay, so so here's our button to close. I want to do a couple things now to this unordered list. We're gonna push it down a little bit and add a border. And then these LIs, so LIs by default are, let's see here, the user agent style sheet, display list item. I think we can just make those width 100%. Basically, what I want is for the full width to be the active link. That's what I usually do. Yeah, so let's do that first. So here's our main nav. The LI, I'm going to say width 100%, and then I'm pretty sure we're going to have to make that main nav anchor element display block. And then that would also need to be width 100% because anchor elements by default are inline elements. So you have to change their display property. We don't need to change the display property of the LI. I'm pretty sure we don't. There we go. And now that is also, and then let's take off we're going to take off the gap. So right now we have a gap of 2 rems for main nav and main social, and they're sharing those styles, which is totally fine. but we do have separate styles right here. So I'm going to say gap, I'm going to say gap 0. And then I'm going to add a little bit of margin on the LIs. So I'm going to say 0.25 rems on the top and bottom. And then let's add some padding. I'm going to say 0.5 rems of padding all the way around. Yeah. So now we have a little bit of space in between each LI, but we have a big tap target. 300 pixels wide by 42.4 pixels tall. So that's a nice big tap target. And then let's do text align center on that LI. And then we should also, well, but I wanted to put a border in between these. So if we do a border in between, we also have to add padding. 0.25 rems on the top and bottom, 0 on the left and right. And then let's do a border bottom of 1 pixel, solid, and let's just use our kind of medium gray color. There we go. Does that look even? Yeah, I guess that looks even. No, the, hang on. Oh, we just want to do it on the bottom, not the top. There we go. I think I want to add more padding to the anchor element. That looks better. And I think those borders look even. And now I'm going to put a border just at the top of the main nav. And so I'm going to do margin. I'm going to do the same. So 0.25 rems, 0, padding, 0.25 rems, 0. And border, hang on, border top, 1 pixel, solid, gray. There we go. I think that looks great. My navigation is very, I don't do anything fancy. I don't do anything fancy. I am a one-trick pony, but you can still have the same markup, the same set of styles, the same method or system for creating navigation. And what counts is that it works and that it's usable. It doesn't need to, I don't know, it's not a rocket ship, okay? It doesn't have to be like the fanciest thing in the world. It needs to work. It needs to be functional, and it can still be attractive. So focus on functionality, and I promise you, the aesthetics will come once you nail down your functionality, and what really counts isn't the aesthetics, it's that it works really, really well. So let's give this now a little bit of a box shadow so it's not blending into this white background. Oh, this is interesting. When I hover on the navigation, it's part of the header, so it makes that transparent. I think that's actually a good thing. Just like that. I'm okay with that. Okay, so now our navigation right here. Let's give this a box shadow. And the box shadow is on the x-axis. It's horizontal, not vertical. So it's XY blur spread. So I'm going to do 1 pixel X, 0 Y, 1 pixel blur, 1 pixel spread. And then RGBA, which is 255. Oh, actually, no, it's not. It's 0, 0, 0 for black and 10% alpha transparency. And now we have a nice little box shadow. Just like that. We love it. We love it. And Rizzy G is here. Welcome. I kind of see why I had trouble understanding CSS now. Whenever I try to style something, I see it as an isolated piece. Let me see here. While CSS is all about relationships, that's a good way of thinking about it. It is a good, it's all kind of related and interconnected. That's why, you know, coming up with a way of naming your elements and classes is really powerful, and it's something that a lot of people struggle with, myself included. And I've had people ask me, like, why don't you use this method or that method or whatever? And it's because I just needed to find something that worked for me. I just needed to find something that made sense for me. And it just takes, I feel like a broken record. It just takes an enormous amount of practice to come up with a method that works for you to see those relationships. I hadn't quite thought about it using with that term relationships, but now that I'm seeing that typed out, it makes perfect sense about relationships. It really is about relationships. That's a very good, astute observation. Very, very good observation. So now we have a nice big tap target here for people on mobile. We have a division. So I think there's just enough division here and just enough of a tap target. So hopefully people aren't accidentally clicking the wrong thing. And we've got a nice big tap target here so people can close that menu. And this is styled really, really well. So let's take this menu active off and see how this really works on desktop. So here would be our mobile. So I'm kind of thinking that on mobile, we just want to get rid of that top banner. Although maybe it's okay for it to just exist. How can we tighten up that top banner? Well, honestly, you know what we should do on mobile is we should change this from fixed, which overlays it, to sticky. That's what we're going to do. And yeah, and that is down to about 260. That's pretty good. Okay, so yeah, I want to do that. So the top band, so the header. So right now our header is position fixed, and that means that the header is taken out of the flow and it sits over top of the document. Let's switch it from on mobile, and actually I want to take this and put it up here. So on mobile, we're going to change this from position fixed to position sticky. So when on mobile do we want to do that? Because I think things still hold up pretty well here, right? So maybe at around 600 pixels or so. So I'm going to do max width 600 pixels, and we'll do header. Whoops, hang on, header position sticky. All right, and you can see there already what just happened. Just like that. So now as we get smaller and that top banner starts to scroll a little bit, we don't have all of this real estate sitting over top of a banner. Our banner is naturally going to be positioned right underneath this line. Here's the other thing we can do is we can tighten up some of the padding in this header. So, oh, well, maybe we can't, because how much you want to bet all of our padding? Well, we can get rid of that margin, can't we? That's going to help. Yeah, part of why this is so juicy right now is that margin. So, and I wanted that margin on the close button, but we don't need it on the open button. So right here, we're just going to say margin 0. There, that made a huge difference. That made a huge difference. Oh, and here's the other thing that we need to do. That is not getting pushed. Oh, it's not getting pushed over anymore. That's okay. That's okay. I got this. I got this. So we still need this. We still need that. There we go. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. We still need to tighten some stuff up here, right in here. So we're going to tighten up some of the padding, and our gap right now is 0.5 rems. Oh, and you know what? We do need some margin still. We do need some margin still, because this button is right up against that, and there has to be something. So that's okay. So top, right, bottom, left. Left has to be auto. Top, right. 0.25 rems. Bottom, auto. There we go. There's that tiny little bit. And I don't really mind if this button is right up against the logo, because the logo is not linked. So I'm not worried about that. But let's tighten up this gap for the main social. So right now that gap is, well, no, it's right here. So let's tighten up that gap. When do we want to do that? Probably at 1024, right? Yeah. It's just like pebbles on a scale. You think that a little like 0.25 rems here and there doesn't make a difference? It does. It's like pebbles on a scale. Everything makes a difference. Everything makes a difference. Okay, so now let's tighten up the padding on the left and the right. That's on our nav container. So right here in our media query, we're going to do nav container. And right now the nav container is this. So let's try just 0.5 rems all the way around. See how that does. I mean, it's holding up a lot better. I feel like, does it seem like there's too much space in between these two icons? It's those dang tap targets. Accessibility gets me every time. Let's try 0.25 on the left and right. That helps. I mean, that's pretty good. 320. We still see the logo. We see all three icons. We can see our top banner. Let's tighten up this banner a little bit. So right now, paragraphs are inheriting the line height 1.65, but we can tighten up that line height just for mobile, maybe 1.25. That helps. That made a big difference. Yeah, let's do that for the banner. We'll change the line height for mobile. So here's our banner, part of the header. It inherits line height from the body class. So we'll do that right in here. That makes a big difference. So the logo, I mean, as long as things look good down to about 320, I'm fine with this because we do need to preserve these tap targets. 1 second. So how does this look here? I mean, it looks pretty good. I think we need more space over here. Let's go to 100%. iPhone SE. Well, I want to come back to this. I want to come back and refine some of this. I think for now this is pretty good. Let's write our JavaScript to make sure that we can actually open and close this thing. And then let's carry on. We haven't styled anything other than the header. And I was hoping that we could at least get the hero and the slides styled today. I don't think we'll write any JavaScript today for the slider, but let's at least get it styled and finish with our click events for this. And I need to come back to things. I need to come back to things. I can't do everything at once. This is a good comment. No one says, I love building websites, but honestly, Navbars are the most boring part for me. That's fair. I have to tell you that, hang on, let's pop up. There we go. I have to say that I enjoy Navbars. Here's why. I've probably built 1 million of them over the last dozen or so years, but it was only this past summer that I finally sat down and came up with a repeatable system that is meets accessibility standards. And I am embarrassed to say that I hadn't done that before. I've built many a Navbar that I thought were accessible, but until I really sat down and studied the accessibility, um, I um, I wasn't really accessible. Not the way I thought I was. Not the way I thought it was. So that's fair though. If you think they're boring, there are we can admit they're important though, right? We can admit they're important. Um, I think about like my parents are in their 70s, and oh, this is a good comment. This is a good comment. Moody monstrosity. AI is going to cook y'all sideways. I disagree. I don't think so. I don't think so. So, um, I know that this person is probably attempting to be a troll, but I think that, I mean, clearly I get a ton of questions about AI, and I think we all agree here that AI is not going to take over anybody's jobs. And anybody who thinks that AI is going to take over the job of a developer obviously doesn't know anything about what developers really do. So um, I'm comfortable shooting down comments like that. They don't bother me, but anyhow, okay. All right, click events. We need a click event. Angela, focus. Let me go and grab my accessible responsive navbar script. Honestly, it doesn't bother, those types of comments don't really bother me. I'll say this, the mods are all over it. You guys are amazing. Um, Comments like that don't really bother me because people don't know how smart and dumb AI actually is. Yeah. I mean, I see a huge trend right now on YouTube of people talking about basically making careers out of fixing vibe coding or just fixing the code that non developers generated building sites and apps. So people are returning back to kind of what it is that we're doing here. People are returning back to vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That is an actual trend. That's feedback that I'm getting from people who are watching my streams. And it didn't take AI to start that trend, because I think we can all agree right now that front end is a little bit bloated with frameworks and libraries, right? That's a thing. People are getting frustrated with wanting to build like fairly simple, straightforward landing pages or small static sites and not wanting to deal with compilers and package managers and Node and just wanting to like get some vanilla up on a server because it's a little easier to maintain. So that's a thing. And Illusion says, love it. Good. I'm glad. All right. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to put this up here. So let's define our body. And our buttons. Oops. All right. And then we're going to buttons for each button. And then button add event listener. And then I'm going to do a variable called isActive. And we are going to toggle, menu active. But we're also creating a Boolean variable isActive. So we'll say if isActive, we're going to use the open button to set the attribute aria expanded to true. And it's a string. Else open set attribute, set attribute to aria expanded false, also a string. So for each button, there are two. We add an event listener, click event, or on mobile tap, define a variable isActive. We're toggling menu active on the body. So if it's toggled on, isActive is true, else it's false. Open, then if it's active and we're clicking on the open button, we want to set the attribute for aria expanded to true, otherwise set it back to aria expanded false. And then let's also do an event listener for the escape key. So we'll say document, add event listener, key down. E for event. And then if the event key is escape and the body class list contains menu active, then body class list remove menu active. So if we're hitting the escape key, remove that class from the body, and we want to, on the open button, set the attribute aria expanded to false. Oops. Yeah, I think that'll work. Oh, class list contains. Yeah, I think that'll work. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. If it breaks, we'll just fix it. Look at that. So let's make sure that we're getting the correct There we go. Aria expanded false. Aria expanded true. That's it. That's all there is. And then I'll make sure right here, escape. Beautiful. So let's tab through and make sure that everything works with the keyboard. So we're hitting that first link first. Then we go straight to the navigation. Beautiful. We can go forwards and backwards. I'll hit enter, and then we come right in and we can go right through. Beautiful. It works. I mean, it just works. It just works. One of the best things that I did, and I just did it. I mean, I just did it like, well, when I did it because I created this video called Accessible Responsive Navbar, which nobody watched. I mean, some people watched it. It wasn't my viral video that I thought it was going to be, right? But here's what it forced me to do. It forced me to sit down and really come up with a simple, repeatable, accessible system for building nav bars that didn't matter what it looked like. It just had the proper markup, the proper ARIA attributes, and simple JavaScript that could toggle. And lots of credit to Rahul, because he was kind of the one who when I think I did a nav bar in July sometime, so not that long ago, a couple of months ago, and I was putting like all of toggling classes on like 3 or 4 different things, and he was like, why don't you just put it on the body? And I was like, yeah, actually that's kind of a good idea. So I give credit to him, because once he did that, I was like, you know what, once and for all, I really need to sit down and like come up with a system that works. So yeah, doesn't have to be fancy. It just needs to work. I love it. Oh, here's the other thing that we need to do. When this is open, we really do need this open button to be to not have visibility right here. So when menu active is open, because here's what we don't want to have happen. So let's say that this is open, and now our keyboard going through. You still have access to that. We don't want people to have access to the open button when the navigation is open. So the best way to do that is to, in our CSS, so when the menu is active, it's the open button. So here are our styles for menu active. So menu active. I'm actually going to put this right here. Menu active, open button, and I'm just going to say visibility hidden and opacity 0. So that makes it not accessible. That just popped in right there. So now, yeah. So now if we keyboard through, yep, skips right over it. And we can hit escape. So, yeah, okay. This header still needs some more styles. Yeah, this header still needs a little bit of refining. Yeah, that needs some refining too on scroll. But we're going to come back and refine some of those styles, because I just really want to move on. And I just, at the very least here, for the rest of the day today, I just want to at least get the slider styled. I'm not going to write JavaScript today for the slider. I just want to get it styled. So, and no one says, I don't know why people fear AI. It can't cook, make my bed, or do laundry. I just want AI to help me for free and do my boring work. Hallelujah. I agreed. I would like it to do my laundry, walk my dog, and wash my kitchen floor. And it better get all the dust bunnies. So Malay says, true, we have robots that do our boring work. They still require human interactions like a washing machine or dishwasher. If they were truly intelligent, then it would be even better. Exactly. Almost an engineer says, so if you would like AI to do the boring work, would it not need to do the cooking, cleaning, and the laundry? Well, I suspect no one means boring work like, okay, so here's my boring work. Cooking, cleaning, and laundry, yes, definitely boring, but also checking emails, paying bills, making appointments, returning phone calls. That is also the boring work that I would like AI to do for me that it can't exactly do for me. That's stuff that I still need to do myself, right? Um, and I also don't, if I'm being honest, I don't particularly enjoy cleaning, but I do enjoy cooking. So if it could just do the cleaning, the walking the dog, and the vacuuming, the dusting, and the washing my kitchen floor, including dust bunnies, I would be happy. So, yeah. Here's the thing though, people who there's two types of comments that I've noticed in my chat. There's people who ask questions about AI, and I think that they are genuinely surprised to see somebody building a static website because they think that AI really is taking over that part of development. And to me, they just literally are like, isn't AI taking this over? Why would you do this? And like that's our opportunity to let people know, like, actually, no, we use AI for a lot of stuff and it's not even close to taking over. So there's that kind of comment. Then there's the kind of comment where people I think are just trying to be trolls, right? And I honestly don't mind those at all. The mods deleted those comments. I think they are funny. They don't bother me because as long as you're not being mean to me personally, I can handle it. You're not offending me at all. Just don't be mean to me personally. That I have a problem with. So, and I've had a few of those. Not too many, but a couple. So, if you just want to be a troll because that's how you spend your Sunday afternoon, what do I care? I don't care. So, you're only going to find a bunch of front end developers who like to hang out and think about CSS and JavaScript. So, almost an engineer. I'll love it if it could do my accounting each week. Same. Same. Update my budget for me and tell me to stop spending money. That's what I would like it to do. So, okay, let's get this slider styled. And then we're going to call it a day. So here's our hero section. And almost an engineer says, I don't have an issue with AI. In fact, it can be useful in the right circumstances, but it's nowhere near taking over like people seem to think. I agree. And here's the thing. Here's the thing about us collectively realizing this. Because I think we all recognize what an incredibly powerful tool it is. I've been doing this for 12 years and I've lost hours of my life on Stack Overflow trying to solve problems or figure things out. So AI has dramatically changed the way I work, the way I problem solve. I can do more faster, more accurately, and more confidently. It does not understand my organization or my client's strategy. It doesn't understand my users. It doesn't understand the experience that I want to give people. It doesn't understand the things that humans need to tell it to understand. It can give me code snippets. It can help explain something to me that I can't figure out myself. And I haven't had to log into Stack Overflow in literally 2 years. So from that perspective, it's good. It's not taking over anything. So I see these YouTube videos of like founders who aren't coders, but they have like tech companies or I don't know, like lifestyle tech companies. And they're like, oh, we got rid of all the developers and now, our marketing or our PR or our comms people, they can just use these AI tools and build apps, and we don't need developers anymore. And I'm like, awesome. We'll chat again 18 months from now when your non-developers don't know how to fix all the bugs in those apps that they built. So that's going to be a thing. Yeah. So, okay, Angela, back to work. So the best way to style a slider, I've discovered, is just to stack those puppies right on top of each other. So here's our hero section. We put everything inside of, I have two ULs. I've got one for the dots and one for the slides. So let's just go ahead and start with the slides. So let's start with the UL. Hero slides, take off that margin and padding that the browser always adds. And then we'll say list style type, none, to remove those bullet points. Just like that. And then I think the best way to do this is position relative on the parent. And then on the slide, we're going to say position absolute. I'm not going to use inset. I'm going to use top left. And we'll just do width 100%. Height. I do want to control the height, but I'm going to say height auto. But do I want to, I think I want to set the aspect ratio on the figure, not the LI. So I think I will do width 100%, height 100%, and then control the height of the child. Yeah. And we need a little Z index here. Z index 0. Z index 1. We're going to have to adjust our Z index on our header. So probably Z index 3. Because we're going to need some flexibility with our Z index on those slides. I'm going to be very careful that I'm not creating a battle of the Z indexes, which I get myself into trouble with a lot. Okay. Oh, we are going to have to set an aspect ratio on those. That's fine. So I think we can just do auto and then aspect ratio. We'll do 16:9 for now. Oh, do we have to set it on the parent? We might have to set it on the parent. Okay, I'm gonna look at my GitHub and see how I styled this last time. When did we do this last time? I think we did this on the Hilltop landing page. Right here. Okay. So the parent container, let's look at the markup here. So we had a UL, and then the LI was slider item, but the parent container was slider. So the wrap, this wrap had the controls, not worried about that. So the parent container, which is the hero, okay, that was position relative. And then we had the UL, also position relative, okay. And then the items, which are the LIs, those were position absolute, and they did use inset, okay. Okay. So this is going to be, so this is the section position relative. What else? With a z index of, wait a second, with a z index of 0. Hero slides, this is the UL, this is also position relative. Yep. And this does have the aspect ratio. Got it. Okay, we got that part right. Also z index 0. And then the slide itself, position absolute with height inset. I'm just going to cheat. There we go. But everything's collapsing. I think that's because we have to style the images separately. Okay. And then this is the figure, and this is the image. So this is the slide figure. I have a different class name. And this is the slide image. And doing 16. Whoops. 16 to 9. Let's look at this. With height, did I put the correct styles on the UL? I I did not. So we also need the width, the height, and the aspect ratio. So we need a width, 100%, a height of auto, and this also needs an aspect ratio of 16:9. We're so close. We're so close. And zero. So we've got a z-index of 0, a z-index of 0. I think this also needs a z-index. So that was the, so this is the UL. I'm going to just put UL here because I'm getting confused about what's what. So there's the UL, there's the LI, oh yeah, this is why. So that's just temporary. Okay. So now they're all just stacked up. So there we go. So there's the UL, there's the LI, and there's the figure. And all of the images are the same, but they're all just stacked right on top of each other. And so what we'll do is we will write JavaScript probably next weekend. And I will also this week, I know I said this last weekend, but I'm really going to do it, is every single image on this site is the same image. I will source my own images to make sure that we have better images. So, and let's make sure that this hero text wrap is out of the way. So this hero text wrap is also going to be, well, it's inside the LI, and the LI is position absolute. So we should be able to, there's the LI. But it's falling outside of the LI. So I think we can just hero text wrap. And then we'll say transform, translate minus 50% minus. There we go. That puts it in the middle. And we could say color white. Obviously, that is not styled, but it's out of the way. So now let's style our slides or our dots. So here's we got two ULs. We've got the slides right here, and then we've got Z dots. And they're both inside this section, which is also position relative. So let's position these also. So those are the slide dots, which should probably be buttons. Yeah, because if we want people to be able to click on those dots, we're also going to end up adding data categories to this next weekend, because we'll need data categories or like just some sort of HTML attribute to connect the dot to the slide. I'm not going to worry about adding the data categories today, but rather than having a span with access hidden, what we should do is just do a dot. Can't we just have an empty button with an ARIA label and then style the empty button? What's the difference between that and an SVG that is ARIA hidden true? So we'll say button type equals button, ARIA label, slide, I'm going to spell it out, slide 1. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What's the difference between this and an SVG that's hidden? Slide 1, slide 2, slide 3. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. So slide dots. And we'll say margin 0, padding 0, list style type none. And then we're also going to make this, lots of positioning. Position absolute. We're going to say bottom. We'll say bottom 1 rem. Left 50%. And then we'll transform, translate. We're going to translate on the x-axis, -50%. And then we have to actually style those buttons into little circles. So we'll do dot button. I'm going to say width, well, 1 rem, 16 pixels. So let's do 1.5. We'll do 1 rem. 1 rem by 1 rem. I'm going to say border 2 pixels, solid, var. We'll do white. And then border radius 50% to make it a little circle. Nice. Now let's get them lined up in the other direction. So we probably want to do display flex, flex flow, row, no wrap, justify content, center, align items, center, and gap 1 rem. Beautiful. And then what does our active button look like? So presumably the active slide, we would want the active button to be filled in. So let's do, we'll do dot active. We'll make sure that the active class is a sibling of the dot class. I don't know if that's the right way to refer to it. And then we'll say button. So the active button would be, well, we would probably want to say the background color is transparent. And we would want the background color to be white. And then we'll put a, we can put a transition on that. Oops. So we could add active. We'll just go ahead and add an active class. Beautiful. So then if I could just come right in here and say active. Look at that. Look at that nice little transition. We love it. We love it. And then let's just give we'll just add some margin here to the hero section to push the other stuff down. I'm just going to say margin 0, 0, 2 rems. We'll just push that other section down there a little bit. Oh, yeah, we probably want to change this aspect ratio because this is 16:9, so it's pushing down everything below the fold. So I think on our last project we did 16:8. So we've got aspect ratio on the UL. We've got aspect ratio on the figure. And that's it. We only have aspect ratio on those two things, but they do need to match. So that pushes it up just a little bit. And now, because those are buttons, so if we keyboard through, the first thing that gets focus is that top banner link. Then we keyboard through the navigation, the social icons, and then the first thing to get focus, well, the slides are stacked right now. So whatever slide is visible, there's a link, there's a call to action link inside the slide. So those are getting focus. But then, so we might actually want to put these dots in the DOM. They're probably going to want to be before the slides. So you're not, so you have the opportunity. Does that make sense? We probably want these dots to come before the slides. Otherwise, you're going to be forced to go through all the call to action. And we lost our dots. That's okay. Probably just need some Z index. I don't know if the dots need to come before or after the slides. And then we're probably going to want to put I'll just do this for now. And then we would probably want to do, the buttons are also going to need aria pressed. So this would be, if it's true, if it's active, it's true. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Oops. And then these would also have like a data category attribute, something that matches the slide itself. So as you're looping through, the correct dot is associated with the correct slide. But we do need aria pressed because these are buttons. So yeah, we're going to figure this part out next weekend. I just wanted to get these slides nailed down for now. So no one says, let's compare AI with calculator. This is such an excellent analogy. And I think you brought this up last weekend too, and it is honestly such a good analogy. A calculator saves time and solves complex problems, but we didn't forget how to do multiplication, addition, subtraction, or division. It's the same. It's the next industrial revolution. That's how I see it. Just think about like the assembly line or machinery or anything that made manufacturing easier. It didn't eliminate people and manufacturing. It just made it more efficient. It made it so humans could do more quicker and more efficiently. That's how I see it. So. I don't know why whenever I hear row no wrap, it makes me laugh every time. Row no wrap. We could make that could be like a little slogan. We could put that on a mug. So I'm not sure what this means. TSHUSS. I don't know. Should I Google that? I've learned don't blindly Google things that people put into the chat because you better want what you wish for. You never know what you're gonna see or find out. Illusion, tell me if I was tell me if you have a thought that you would like to expand upon. So, well, I think that this is it for today. I'm thrilled with what we got done this weekend. I would say that our header, our mobile navigation, we are like 98% there. I think we need some refinement of the styles, but not that much. Not that much. We got our slider for the most part styled. It obviously needs a lot more work. We need to style everything that's happening inside the header. We'll go ahead and build the slider next weekend and make sure that that is wired up and working. My assignment for this week is I need to get some a bigger variety of images in here, and I'm going to work on content also. Because I just copied all the content from Nitpicks, and it's not my intention, obviously, to use their content. This is a website for me that I'm actually planning to make for my own side project. So I need to sit down and write some content. So I will do that this week. We will continue styling next weekend. Thank you to everybody who joined us in the chat today. We had RRC Gaming. Who else did we have here? No one. We had Rizzy G, Moody Monstrosity. I think that's a good screen name. I like it. Illusion. Almost an Engineer. I think Almost an Engineer is new to the channel. Welcome. We're happy to have you. And of course, Illusion. All the mods were here today. Well, I don't think Rahul was here today though, which is just fine. Oh, TSHUSS. Malika's saying that's German for goodbye. Well, thank you, thank you, and goodbye to you as well. Malik, Monique, and Emilio were the mods today in the chat. We appreciate you so much. And of course, Nightbot is our new favorite AI assistant with the chat. Everybody, have a great rest of your week wherever you are. Come back next weekend. We're going to continue styling. Do me a favor, if you haven't liked the video yet, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. It helps the algorithm. It helps me get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of content. If you're not subscribed yet, I would love to have you. I'm here every Saturday and Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. We pick a project that takes anywhere from like 1 or 2 weekends to a full month to complete. And then I take those videos and edit them down into focused project videos. And of course, we're always here in the chat, just like sharing ideas, chit-chatting about front-end development, talking about AI. Yeah, so have a great rest of your week wherever you are. Yes, Monique says, thanks to the attendees. Have a good and productive week ahead. I will see everybody next weekend. Until then, bye-bye.